That door is really heavy. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back in Charleston, but we're staying at a different hotel this time. So we're gonna take you guys around the TownPlace Suites here over in West Ashley. Right when we come in the front door, you do come right into this open kind of foyer space. Back here, there's a little bit of a tucked away space. It's not really a place you can store anything like your luggage or anything like that because the door does need to swing in this direction. But there are wall hooks on the wall so you can hang your coats, which is pretty nice, or purses or book bags or whatever you might have. So that's pretty nice to have. Over here on my left is a fridge. This fridge is about the same size as the fridge that was over at the HomeTo Suites. So you've got your freezer, you got your fridge. The one thing they do give you here though is they give you little ice trays to make your own ice. Now the thing about TownPlace Suites, and I've noticed this, it's only really at TownPlace Suites, they don't give you an ice bucket. They expect you to make your own ice. Moving along, we've got overhead storage up here that does have our basic amenities, so like bowls, plates, cups, coffee mugs, some basic cooking essentials, nothing crazy. Down here we have our trash bin and a little bit like storage, I guess, if you had other cooking utensils. On the countertop, they do give you a full-size coffee pot, which they don't give you at HomeTo Suites. They give you the little coffee pods. However, I don't ever use these things. I just never know who's used them last. It's just a personal preference of mine. We do have a dishwasher in the room as well. It's not super big, but I think it's appropriate for the size of the room. Up here we do have a microwave. It's not a convection oven. I have stayed at other TownPlace Suites where it is a convection / microwave, so you can bake in them. Kind of like an air fryer, but this one is not that, unfortunately. We do have an actual stove top, which unlike the HomeTo Suites where you have to ask for the little actual cook device, this you can actually cook on the surface. And they do give you pots and pans, which here's one pot. Nothing in there. Nothing in there. Got a pan, and then silverware and some spatulas and knives, and oh, they do give us a can opener and a peeler as well. So they do give you a little bit more things to cook here than they do over at the HomeTo Suites, and they are supposed to have things that you can use to cook, so like blenders, rice cookers, slow cookers. They have more mixing bowls. They have grilling tools and grilling seasons, which I didn't know they had grilling seasoning. That's kind of interesting. And then they also have stuff for you to do. So they have playing cards, board games, and umbrellas. I did see the board games downstairs behind the front desk. You just have to ask for them. Now moving over here, on the other side of our cook range is a pretty decently sized closet. As you can see, we've stored our suitcases in here. You do have hanging space. You do have like multiple storage racks. So if you have stuff, if you're actually going to be living long term in one of these places, you can kind of unpack a little bit and maybe feel a little more homey than you could at maybe HomeTo Suites or one of those other long-term stays. So moving forward, we're going to go take a look at the main living space. So moving forward just a little bit, we do have more storage space. So over here, we kind of have our snacks to kind of get us through this day. So you got some space here. You've got some space over the desk. This is the desk work area, which unfortunately for this room is a little bit small. My friend's room that's upstairs is actually a lot bigger, and she actually has what looks to be like a desk instead of this type of workspace. So the rooms are all laid out a little bit different. This room is actually one of the smallest rooms they have. So keep that in mind if you guys are looking at TownPlace Suites. So as I mentioned, you've got the desk, you've got some storage, and then back here we have our couch, which again, like I said, this room is kind of a little on the small side. We don't have a whole lot of space to put our clothes, so I'm kind of using this as my clothes space because we never sit on the couch to begin with. Lighting, there's this track light up here which really doesn't emit that much light at night. It's actually kind of on the dark cavey side. We do have lights over the sink that light in the hallway. And then over here by the bed, we have 2 lights on either sides of the bed. What is nice is that both sides of the bed do pretty much have the same setup, whereas in most places, one side might have a certain setup versus the other. So you've got a place to plug in, and then you've also got a USB. However, on my side, the USB was broken and like pushed into the actual wall, so I was a little disappointed about that. It is a king-size bed, and compared to our stay over at the Home to Suites, I did feel like the sheets were clean. I did feel like the pillows had a little bit more sustenance to them, and the bed did feel slightly more comfortable. It's still kind of a bed that's kind of more on the tough side, built for like long-term use versus like comfort, but I did think it was slightly better than the Home to Suites down the road. Over here, we have our lovely TV. Now, this TV is broken, and when I mentioned it to the front staff yesterday, at first she acted like I was crazy, but then once I told her what it was doing, she tried to tell me it was a manufacturer warranty or defect, and told me we couldn't move rooms until today. So we may be, hopefully, fingers crossed, moving to a different room. If we do, we'll show you guys that in another video, so make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. But unfortunately, you can't really see a whole lot of detail on this because it is stuck in blue mode, whatever that means, but making the best of it. Next up, we're gonna go take a look at the bathroom. Here we are in the bathroom. Now, this is a cozy bathroom. It's very tight. There's not a lot of counter space. There's actually not a lot of storage space in here, which I'm not really a big fan of, because when you have more than one person, you've got 2 toothbrushes, you got 2 deodorants, you've got a lot of extra things that we don't necessarily have the space to put out. So I'm kind of having to use the top of the toilet as like extra storage space for right now. There are drawers and there is a cabinet, but again, I like to see my stuff on the counters when I'm staying in hotels. I don't know why. It's just a personal preference. We do have a shower in here, and Gary took a shower last night, and the room basically turned into a wading pool because the lip on the tub does not come off the ground high enough to keep the water from the shower head from splashing out the door. I don't know if it's like that in all the other rooms. I'll have to ask my friend who's also staying here, and then we'll see if we get moved to another room if we also have the same issue in that shower. But pretty much the same size shower you can expect just about every hotel nowadays, unless you're staying in like a posh luxury hotel. You're pretty much going to get the same standard size shower. So let's go take a look at the rest of the hotel.
Here is the hallways for everybody. That's what they look like on the upper floors. And then there is an ice machine on each level, it seems like. But you do get ice trays in your fridge. So there's nothing actually put bucket-wise, but there's the ice machine. There's that. And again, there's the hallways. Prices. Here's the food, right?
Talking about the check-in process at the TownPlace Suites over at Marriott. Now, I've been coming to Charleston for work for quite some time, and it's booked through my contract. So the people that I'm getting my contract through, they set it up for me. And every time that I go over to Home to Suites, I never have any issues. Literally, I show up, they have my room ready, they give me my key, I show them my ID, that's it, we move on. I guess they had it set up through email through their salesperson, and the salesperson wasn't there that day, and the profile wasn't completed, so we had to wait over 45 minutes for them to figure out who they needed to talk to, and she kept looking at me, giving me excuses, and come to find out that yes, everything was done, but the person that needed to complete the work wasn't there that day, and TownPlace Suites wasn't going to call that person. They put it back on us. And I was just like, that's a little ridiculous. So that was a little frustrating. And it took 45 minutes for them to get everything figured out. Meanwhile, the time was taking until I had to go return the rental car. So it was like one thing after the other. And the person who was working the front desk, it's really just this one person. She doesn't help you at all. Like, she doesn't care. Gary actually at one point went down there to ask for a little scrubby, and she pretended like she didn't know what a scrubby was and went and called maintenance. So there's one person that's at the front desk that's absolutely useless. Everybody else was very nice and was helpful to the best they could be. So that was definitely a little bit frustrating on the check-in process.
Another thing that we had at the Marriott was we had some room issues. So the first room we got into, the TV was like a blue color when we got in there. We just thought it was like set off or whatever and we could fix it. When you go to the remote, it wouldn't do anything to the TV. And it was just very difficult to even get anywhere. We couldn't get rid of the blue. So Nacy went up to the front desk lady, the lady she talked about before, and said, hey, the TV's not working. She said that it was a factory defect and we would just have to deal with it. And if you only stay there a day or something, it's probably not that big of a deal, but we were there for 2 weeks. So we're like, no, this isn't going to work. We want to be able to watch our Roku. We want to be able to do those things. So eventually she said, okay, we'll switch your rooms. But it wasn't until the next day. And then when Nacy went up the next day to be like, hey, just remember, we need to switch rooms, she saw the sheet on the desk of the turnover, and there were 19 empty rooms at the time. So we could have easily switched rooms that night, and it wouldn't have been an issue. But we did get to a second room. The second room, we were there for about a day. We went to put something in the microwave, to microwave it, and it made like this loud banging noise, and then it wouldn't heat anything up. It would still like run like it was going, but it wouldn't heat anything up. So we called the maintenance people. The maintenance guy comes eventually. That wasn't too long. He gets in there, he tests it, he puts a glass of water in there, and he's like, oh, I got to test it. And of course, it didn't do anything. He's like, okay, so it's not working. So he's like, but it takes 2 people to replace this, so I'm going to have to wait for my supervisor. He won't be there till around like noon, 2 o'clock. And I'm like, that's no big deal. I'll wait. That's not a big problem. So it was probably about 30 minutes later. All of a sudden, I opened the door because I knew Nacy was coming home. And here comes the guy down the hallway with like a microwave. And I was like, well, that's weird. Maybe his supervisor came in early. So I let him in, talking to him a little bit. He tries to fit the microwave on the desk. And as you saw in the room, and as you've seen in the video when Nacy did the walk around, there was no space. I barely had enough room on that desk for my laptop, and that was kind of it. Like, there was no space in that room. He wanted me to move my laptop so that he could put a second microwave there that would work. And it was the exact same microwave that was hanging. He just wanted to put it on the counter. And I'm like, well, I don't mind waiting till your supervisor's here to hang it, or I'm happy to help you. Well, of course, I couldn't help him because, it's a violation. But he's like, oh, no big deal then. I'll just wait for my supervisor. I thought this was a rush. And I'm like, I know I never told you it was a rush. So I already had some things clicking in my head that something's not right here. He leaves. We go the whole day. Me and Nacy actually go out to grab a bite to eat for lunch dinner. When we got back, Nacy checked with the front desk. Oh, you're moving rooms, is what they told her. So it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Now we're moving rooms again. We have the cleaning person at the door being like, hey, you guys are moving, right? And it's like, yeah, but we're going to take our time. We just found out we were moving. So we moved down the hall. That was our third move. And then the third room was okay. It's just, there was this weird noise. I think it was coming from the fridge, but we're not really sure. But all the time, and I mean all the time, there was like a child's voice saying, hello. And that's it.
It was so weird.
It was the same tone. It was the same voice every time.
Same volume.
But it was hello. I mean, it was literally like a child's voice going, hello. And at first, before I even told Nacy about it, I looked in the hallways. There was no one in the hallways. I don't know where the voice was coming from. We were right backed up to the elevator, and the refrigerator was making some weird sounds on top of just that. So it's a possibility. We don't really know. I'm not saying it's haunted, but it was just a weird experience. So my thoughts on the room itself is that if you're only going to be there for a few days, it's a comfortable bed to lay in. But if you're going to be there long term, make sure to test everything when you get in that room just to make sure everything works, because they won't fix it. So they actually put people in the rooms that we left immediately after we left them. So they don't fix them. So the hotel is going downhill. All right, there's Nacy on the phone, but here's the lobby, waiting area. It's kind of nice. It's definitely spacious. The food for the morning is right behind this wall. I'll show you that too, but here's the waiting area. So you see they have 2 treadmills. Seem to be in decent shape. They got 2 ellipticals. One is not currently working. And then they got a recumbent bike. I'm kind of surprised. Most places have Pelotons now. They do have like the sand weights over here. A couple of mats for yoga. And they have a jumping thing. And they have another thing of like the sand weights over here too. So they have 2 sets of weights for some reason, which is good. But it's kind of a small space for that. They have the scale and then some exercise balls. You'll see. And they have this little like trampoline thing. This is the entire room. So it's not very big. But it's a good size for this hotel. And they have the water. And a legit tip that we talk about in a lot of these videos is to bring your refillable water cup up here and refill it. It'll save you on water cost. Here is the guest laundry. You'll see they have 3 dryers. And they got Nacy with her hair done. And then they got 3 washers.
Not cool, bro. Not cool.
And it is $2.50 to wash and $2.50 to dry. So it is a little expensive for a hotel, honestly. We'll let you know how it cleans. It's kind of neat. They have an outside area that you can kind of hang out in. There's a couple more tables around the other corner too. Just note that this is where the smokers hang out. So if you don't want to smell smoke, this may not be the best area, but it's a nice little relaxation area outside. Now we're at the outdoor recreation area around the back. You see it's got a nice little overhanged area. You got a couple grills and then the pool. I'll show you a closer view of that, but let's take a look at the grills. Grills are pretty dirty. There's actually a leftover onion on this one. Not really sure why. I'll have to ask when I go inside if they're operating, if they even work. So I'll let you know. Stay tuned for the legit final thoughts to find out, but here's another couple tables over here. Here's that outside eating area, or hanging out area, right by the grills. And last but not least for the amenities, here's the pool. There's a bathroom in the back corner. The pool's actually pretty large for a Charleston hotel. It's got some seating around it and a couple recliners. So not too bad. Early morning, yo. It's like 7 o'clock. You
got that just in time.
Gotta love extended stays, everybody. So it stopped for a second. Now it's restarted. All right, it's day 2 of being waken up by the fire alarm again. This is wonderful, y'all. Wonderful. Well, everybody, this time the fire alarm might have been serious because the fire truck is here. All right, that concludes our stay at the Charleston Marriott.
Honestly, overall, the hotel was clean. I didn't see any bugs. I didn't kill any bugs like I had been over at the Home to Suites. It didn't smell like wet dog like the Home to Suites, and the sheets smelled clean. Now, the cleaning was a little weird. Some days they would try to clean, and then other days they wouldn't, and then sometimes they came in and cleaned but didn't clean. They just made the bed. It was weird. It was very weird.
Yeah, to expand on that a little bit, they came in one day to clean. All they did was flip the sheets out, empty the trash cans, and give us towels. Mm-hmm. They didn't vacuum. They didn't change the sheets. They just made the bed. It was a really weird experience, and they also didn't clean up the countertops. But then right before we left, we forgot to put the sign out. They came in and they gave it a full cleaning. Mm-hmm. And at the point when they came in to clean the room, we had already been in there about 8 days. Mm-hmm. So it was just really weird on that.
Yeah.
I did kill bugs. I killed about a small one every other night. They weren't too big, and some of them were cockroaches, but some of them weren't. They were just bugs from the outside. So it was definitely cleaner than the Hilton. And the bed, so much better. Good water pressure. Our biggest complaint is that it is going downhill and they're not fixing it. So if you're staying there long term, you might want to think of something else. If it's a short stay, though, I would recommend it for a short stay.
And if you want to try and figure out what the weird noise is, if you're going to stay there, it's room 324 is the room we heard the weird noise. And we stayed in 3 rooms on separate nights, and we didn't hear that noise in any of the other rooms.
Yep.
So it was just, we tried to figure out where it was coming from, what it really was, and we just really couldn't narrow it down. Kind of got to the point where we just got used to it, but it still, sometimes you would hear it and it was like, okay, can you like not, whatever this is.
We had Nacy's friend come over and sit, and it doesn't make any noise.
Yeah.
We would turn the cameras on and try to record it, no
Nothing.
noise. But as soon as you turned off the camera or we were alone, especially nighttime, hello?
Yeah. And
Hello?
sometimes it would be rapidly in succession, and then other times it would just be once, and then you wouldn't hear it again for hours.
Yeah, it was a strange experience. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And again, we're not saying it's haunted, but it definitely does give the heebie-jeebie vibes, especially it was weird. It's kind of like if you ever watched that Doctor Who episode where he's like, "Are you my mommy?"
Yeah.
That was kind of the tone that the voice would take, and it was just like, hello.
Hello.
If you like this kind of video, make sure to hit that thumbs up.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And ring that notification bell so you get notified when we do at least 3 videos a week.
And we'll come and get you guys for the next one.
Ain't that the truth, baby Ruth?
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hello.